So what was your advice?
I said, at that point, she was doing whatever. She was signing anything she could. She was signing. And I said, you sign, you sign. I try to give her free will and liberty. I try to say, hey, man, how low can you go? Is what I said. If it's worth $6,000 or $5,000 or $7,000, I said, you're going to the women's shelter. Your mother's going to take the money. You will be in the women's shelter anyway. And I didn't know how to get her out of the house. And at that point, I have to become who I am, which is the Mother's Mafia. By the way, never lets one of ours go to jail or stay in jail, ever.
So
it's not permissible if there's anybody we know that we will crawl across the state of Texas to get somebody out.
But as to the settlement offer itself, you indicated to her that you thought that was pretty low.
I thought it was an insult. I thought it was ridiculous. I call it oppression. I think, the corner everybody had her in was, I believe it teeters on, it's illegal to me to think that someone could be that desperate and have to sign something or go to a women's shelter. And she, basically, it was her, she didn't sign it.
And when you say oppressive, you thought it was oppressive that her attorneys were telling her to take it, or that the offer from the officers was $6,000. Which of those two was oppressive?
I assumed from the time that they started I assumed that it was a false, and that there was no insurance man waiting in the middle of the night for her. They had said ridiculous stuff. They'd called my lawyers. They'd dragged my attorney in. The reason
Who's they?
Sanders and Deckers had dragged my attorney in at Sunday morning. They wanted her to get on an airplane on Sunday night at 5 in the morning and be at a Starbucks on I-10 to sign a $6,000 deal. And they started threatening my lawyer, and that's why my lawyer's not here. And so my deal was, she was signing just to save herself, and her mother had convinced her that, it was going to be okay. And I said, I just said, please don't sign it.
How about in the, I know you've been over in the family courts, and I don't want to get into the family courts generally, but
I don't want to go there at all, but hey,
but I know Carol had a divorce pending, an appeal pending. Were you, and I've read some transcripts where you were in the courtroom identifying yourself as an advocate. Did you help her with the divorce proceedings?
I did not help her with the divorce proceedings. I had nothing to do with the divorce proceedings. I did file a quantum Ruth. I was not put on the witness list. I paid her attorney. I provided everything to her attorney, and it turned out there was no jury fee. It's always the same way. I'm never deposed. I'm never on the witness list. I'm never included. I don't exist. Judge Jill doesn't exist, and I don't exist. That's the game. But
you did. I've seen letters that you've written during that divorce process, either to her attorneys. I think you appeared in court at one point with her.
I had to take her, physically drive her, and at the time, with Judge Ryan, because.
But when I say appear, I mean appear on a transcript that you actually spoke in the courtroom.
No, I had to go without her. She was in a mental hospital, and I had to go make an appearance. We had.
When was she in a mental hospital?
She had gone to the hospital March of what? April 7th. Anyway, they had a hearing, and her sister Joe and I had filed some.
Do you remember what year that was?
2003. Anyway, we had hearings, and so he told me that they were divorced, and I said, so you want me to go back and tell her she's divorced? I mean, to me, it was it was an outlandish moment.
So you appeared in court on her behalf?
No, I filed a quantum Ruth against Lonnie Davis and their community estate. Judge Dill filed one, and we were there to appear. And he just happened to tell us they were divorced,
Did you? My understanding is that appeal was recently dismissed. Is that correct? Did you discuss the decision to dismiss that with Carol?
She was on my back porch. I said, hey, man, let it go. I looked at it. It was so scary to me. It was so, it was, I did not know anything between November and April. Her mental state was so bad that I finally just said, I didn't know what to do. I just still don't know what to do. I didn't have anything to do with that.
In her first deposition, or in her deposition, Ms. Davis indicated that she'd had a rather, I don't know her exact words, but essentially an unfortunate run of luck with attorneys in her criminal cases and her divorce cases, and even in this case. And I hope I'm not mischaracterizing the testimony, but that was sort of my impression of it. Is that your impression that Carol's legal counsel has been wanting to some extent?
To make light of it, yes, it's the most just strangest situation I've ever seen. I pay the money, they don't appear. We pay the money, they go, nothing happens. We pay the money, nothing happens. No defense.
And
nothing.
I
mean, nothing. They stand there and take your money and leave and don't come back ever. You can't even find them. I have the checks. And
I've also seen letters written by you, either as an advocate or as a citizen, depending on which label you choose, either to those attorneys or to other people about attorneys that Carol has had in the past. Is that fair to
I don't
say?
know what you're referring, but yes, I actually have checks. I can show you. I've paid them.
Well, if I ask you about a couple attorneys, can you tell me if you had ever either helped file a grievance or written any sort of letter complaining about? Did you ever write any letter complaining about? Well, I know you wrote a letter complaining about Mr. Sanders and Mr. Decker because you wrote it to my firm.
Yes.
Did you ever complain in any capacity about Mr. Payne?
I wrote no, I mean, under the umbrella deal, like I said, what happened with Jerry, the divorcement.
Are you asking her about grievances that she filed?
No, I'm asking if she helped you. I'm asking if either she herself complained or helped you write complaints against any of these people. You're right, it's a compound question, so I'll re-ask it. I'll assume your objection was to the compound nature of that question. I will re-ask it. First, you've written at least one letter complaining about Sanders and Decker.
Yes, I'm on the record.
And have you ever written a letter to anyone complaining about Mario Castaneda?
I think I wrote a scenario about it, but I think I went directly to the judge.
But, okay, so you complained to a judge about Mario Castaneda.
I went to Judge Bull. I didn't know she was a dispute and handed her some stuff from, I went into the back chambers and handed her the documents the Texas Commission for Lawyers had told me to do, and it was, like I said, I paid him the money. I didn't know he could not practice law, and, I have the documents here of what he did all the way through, the jail, past the jail. When he no-load her out, it got real weird because I paid Richard, her former counsel, and I paid him to help me go to Travis County to get her out.
Okay, and I just want to bring
No,
you
but
back.
I'm paying them all the time, and
Right.
so
My
I
simple
never
question
have
is,
written a grievance.
okay,
I just told the judge.
But you did complain to some extent or lodge some
No, I
sort
went to a judge and said, this guy, this is the deal, and she said, okay, got it. It was real simple.
Okay.
It wasn't a big deal. I called the 1-800 on the Texas Commission for Lawyers, and they told me what to do.
Okay, I'm just.
I did. I dialed the 1-800 number, and
okay.
Don Miller and Lydia Garcia told me what to do, and I did it.
But you had a problem with the way that Mr. Castaneda was handling things for Carol, and you brought it up to the attention of the judge.
I would like to clarify, I couldn't spell his name. We couldn't even find out what his name was. I'm telling you, it was bad enough to know that you could not find out how to spell his name.
Okay, yeah,
couldn't find
I'm going to object as non-responsive as well.
No, name spelling was a
right.
big deal to me with $2,000 hanging on it.
I'm just kind of going with the checklist here.
I'm just going with what I said. 2,000, no name, where's Mario?
You brought to a judge's attention that you felt that Mr. Castaneda had somehow not represented Carol properly.
No. I went in there and told her what Don Miller told me to tell her, and I did tell her, and she acknowledged it, and we had a little tit-a-tit, and I was told something very specific by Don Miller.
What did you tell Judge Bull Spoot about Mr. Castaneda?
Did you want to get it? There's something that was published in the Texas Lawyer. It's as simple as that.
Just what words came out of your mouth to the judge?
I said, I had a piece of paper. It was blue. I have it on me. I said, I gave it to the clerk.
That he was suspended or probated or something?
We didn't know anything. It said a bunch of stuff. I'm talking everything you can think of, no child support, all the fees, and all the little codes, And
so violations of some sort?
Yes, and believe me, if you ask me to diagnose him, I don't know. I just know he's not able to.
So you brought one of Carol's lawyers' violations to the judge's attention?
I took the piece of paper to the judge, and I knocked on, and she let me in, and I said,